What up, New York Giant Nation and football fans all over the world? It is your boy, Mac the Giants fan, and I'm with my guy, the super dope co-host, Adam Costas. This is the real deal NFC East Roundup. Punch that intro. What is going on out there, everybody? Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever it is, wherever you are. How y'all doing, man? How you feeling today, Adam?
I am very good. How are you?
I am just great, man. It's been a beautiful, beautiful Wednesday afternoon, and now it is time for the one of the dopest shows on YouTube, the Real Deal NFC East Roundup, and we're gonna get right to it, man.
I don't know where else you'd rather be than
Thursday
right
night.
here with
Thursday night, man. New York Giants started. They got the kicked off the week this week, Thursday night, down out in San Francisco, and they did not kick off the week well. What's going on? What Bill Carver, man? That's my holy Bill. That's what's up. Thanks for stopping in, bro. I appreciate you, man. Good to hear. Good to see you, man. I'm glad. I hope you're doing everything's well with you, man. What's going on, Philly B?
Thanks for stopping in, William.
But yeah, the New York Giants started the week off, got the week kicked off, man. Going out to San Fran Thursday night football, and the New York Giants look like they always do in the prime time. Absolutely terrible. Once again, absolutely terrible, man. How, how do you feel about the Giants' performance from Thursday night, Adam? Even though I already
Absolutely.
know.
Listen, if you haven't heard by now, you've heard me say what I thought about this game. This game was an absolute joke. This is what we talk about when we talk about playing good teams. This is what we mean. I've already predicted the first two kind of performances from the quarterback: good, bad against Cowboys, good defense; good against Cardinals, bad defense; poor against San Francisco, good defense. The trend continues. Now, he's not only to blame. I think there's a lot to go around. Defensively, let's start with them. Can you stop somebody? Can you stop somebody? I mean, my word. They're just doing whatever they want. War and peace. I know that they only kicked field goals. Everyone's like, oh, they kept it close. But I was listening to a podcast the other day, and one was like, it was just a matter of time before they broke the seal and we're going to just score left and right. And it was true. In the second half, it was a different freaking football game. Even though the Giants got the kickoff, right? And usually that bodes well for them. It didn't bode well for them at all because they went in and they were a 3-and-out right out the gate. And that's what I knew right then and there when they couldn't move the football in the second half. It was going to be a long evening that second half. And so here we are. We're back. We're back at it again. Can't really say too much about it. You want your stars to perform in this game. The Giants have been terrible in prime time most of my life, and especially in recent memory, they've been bad. And unfortunately, the quarterback's record's been bad. A guy, Colin Coward, said, there's one thing that you can say about this guy is he doesn't beat good teams. Well, when you're on prime time and you're 1-10, you've played a lot of good teams, and that's what that means. And it's not all his fault, but it goes on his hands a lot of the times, whether we like it or not. And it's unfortunate. But defensively, stop somebody. Stop somebody. This week, I heard mixed reviews with the tackling. I heard one guy say, it's not a big deal. I heard another guy say, it's a point of emphasis. Well, which one is it? It's either a point of emphasis or it's nonchalant. The only guy I'm giving my hat off to that defense is Michael Parsons. That guy played his ass off.
Micah McFadden, you mean? We only could wish we had Michael Parsons.
Sorry. I got excited there. Man, oh, man.
But
Woo!
yeah,
Freudian slip there, man. I just think of Micah. I think of Micah Parsons, Micah McFadden. My fault. I should not have insulted
yeah,
Micah Parsons that way. I almost called him Micah McParsons. Oh my god. But anyways, yeah, hats off to him. I'd like to see more of him. I liked him coming out. I liked watching him. I liked some of his tape. I thought last year he got the raw deal when Jared Davis got signed. He didn't get to play in the playoff game and in the game against the Eagles. I don't think that was his fault. I think they were trying to, put a veteran presence in there. Jared Davis obviously was injured. He would probably be the linebacker next to Okereke, but he's fared pretty well. 16 tackles, man. Well, first off, that's an indictment on your offense for not doing anything, and probably an indictment on your defense for not getting them off the field. 16 tackles is a lot. That's 4 tackles.
Micah McFadden played one hell of a game. It's about, like I said, the only person defensively that you can speak anything positively from that game in San Fran Thursday night. Yeah, you said it all pretty much, man. The quarterback, like you said, at the end of the day, whether you like it or don't like it, it still comes down on the quarterback, even though the Giants' problems are just definitely solely not on him, but at the end of the day, quarterback, man, that's the quarterback's responsibilities. They take those responsibilities on. It is what it is. That's why they get paid. That's why they get paid the money that they get paid. So it just, whether you like it, don't like it. I'm not saying it's all on him, obviously, because I do know it's definitely not. There's a lot of issues with this football team that are not just him.
Right.
But at the end of the day, they're the ones that get the glory. They get the glory when you win. They get the glory. They got to take it up the ass when they. I mean, not take it up the ass, but you know what I mean. Sorry, pause. They got to man up when they lose, man. And at the end of speaking of this defense, man. Interesting comments, Xavier McKinney. You put microphones in front of people's mouths, you get to really see, man, what these guys are all about, man. Somebody media asked Xavier McKinney about the Giants' tackling troubles, and Xavier McKinney hadn't seen anything as a problem. He hadn't seen anything as a problem at all, and that's what the problem is with this football team. No accountability, man. You guys got to look yourselves in the mirror and understand what the problems definitely are, and tackling is one of them. We proved that on Thursday night against the 49ers. This team couldn't tackle anything. Like I said, they out there, these guys, Deebo Samuel running through this defense, George Kittle running through this defense, McCaffrey, everybody, just running all through this damn defense, man, and it's not acceptable, man. If you think tackling is not an issue, Xavier McKinney, then I take offense to that because it's ridiculous right now. We probably got to lead the league in missed tackles. I feel like even if somebody's counting that number, counting those stats, it's absolutely a joke, man. Dude, you've been embarrassed the last 2 weeks personally.
We do lead the league in missed tackles.
So you've got to feel a bit embarrassed personally, just himself as just you one of the captains of this team. And you're supposed to be one of the leaders, and then that's the kind of answer. It's the way you respond to somebody asking you about the poor tackling on this football team is you don't think it's really that big of a problem. That's not the issue. That's nothing wrong. Come on, man. There's definitely something wrong with that, man. Y'all are grown-ass men that get paid lots of money to take people down to the ground, and you're not getting it done. You're not getting, because it's not even just the issue wasn't just in the San Fran game. It's been all 3 weeks. All 3 weeks it's been an issue. It's absolutely ridiculous, man. Right now, at this point with this football team, and you got to figure out this. You got to shake this prime time thing because you still got 3 more counting this game this week. You still got 3 more of them on the damn schedule.
This one?
No, they got this one, Buffalo, and the Green Bay. Buffalo on Sunday night in a couple weeks too.
Really?
On the 15th of October. Yeah, that's Sunday Night Football, October 15th against the Buffalo Bills.
Oh my God, the world's got to watch this again.
So we got 3 primetime games left on the schedule remaining. So we got to figure out something when them bright lights come on in the prime time, man, and figure out a way to get it done. Because right now, like you just said, Daniel Jones' record in prime time is 1-10 or 1-11 or whatever it is. It's terrible. It's the worst win percentage in the history of the league, I believe.
I don't think it's getting much better after these two.
Well, we'll see what happens. We got to see what happens. That's why they play the game, and they got to figure out a way to make it better. Because right now. right now, this team is not stepping up. They're not rising to the occasion. Like you said, the stars are not making the plays. Michael McFadden pretty much was the star of the game Thursday, and I don't think people look at him as Michael McFadden necessarily as one of the star premier guys on this football team. But yet he was the one out there making all the plays Thursday night, the only one out there making plays Thursday night as far as defensively goes. And offensively, just people got to step up. Maybe we'll get Andrew Thomas back at left tackle, and maybe we can see some better offensive line play, maybe with some of the maneuvering around that's been going on the last couple weeks. But we got to get some stability there. That's also got to happen. Stability has to happen on the O line. It's been too many moving pieces, too many moving parts. 3 games this season, 3 different offensive line starting offensive line sets basically. So 3 different offensive line combinations. That's not good. Offensive line can't build continuity that way. They got to figure it out, and they got to start protecting the quarterback a little bit more because clearly this guy needs more protection because he's not going to be one of those guys that can make plays under the duress that he's been under this season. And he clearly starts, because even it's at the point now that even the few times when he does drop back and have a clean pocket, it's like I guess he's feeling the pressure anyway, just because it's just so commonplace for him right now at this point. And then, God damn it, run the football. Run the damn football. Run the football, New York Giants. 11 rushes, 11 carries against the San Francisco 49ers. That's not good enough. You can't abandon the run game in such a way like that where you just basically just go away from it and just let the defense pin their ears back and feast on your quarterback
Well,
who's already getting rushed anyway like
gonna,
crazy. You got to commit to the run
if
game.
you're going to do that, you've got to have your passing game in sync because I think what's happening with the Giants is they know that they have to score points against all these teams, so they get kind of scared or frenetic. Like, for example, the Seattle Seahawks scored 37 points. So they scored 37 points this week. Cowboys scored 40. This other team scored 28. So what's happening is these teams are down. The Giants were down the first 6 quarters. Hell, they weren't really that close in this quarter either. So the first 8 quarters, first 8 halves, right? 8 quarters of the first half, they're getting outscored. That's what the problem is. You're starting out slow. So then what happens is you have to abandon the run to catch up and make up for all those plays. So you're constantly catching up. What you need to do is when you get the ball, if they get the ball this half, right? We've already talked about the kickoff thing and them getting the ball or not getting the ball. That was debunked this week against the 49ers. Whatever happens, you defer, you get the ball, set the tone. If you kick off to Seattle, stop them if you get the ball. And vice versa, if they kick off to you, go downfield and score a touchdown. Dictate what's happening. The problem is the Giants only score 14.3 points a game. They're getting dictated on. And that's why you're losing the run game. Because, one, Barkley's not in there. And he's probably not going to be in there this week. He has a high ankle sprain, apparently. They say he's day-to-day. I'll believe it when I see it. I'll believe it when he's exploding off. I think he may miss this game. If he misses this game, turn around to Brightwell, because the one thing that there's 2 things that Daniel Jones does well. He runs and he does the play action fake well. And if you're not going to give him if they're going to take away the run, because right now the 49ers have given you the blueprint of what to do to him. They take away the run. Okay. The second thing is his play action. If the team doesn't believe you're going to run, who, by the way, Seattle, we haven't previewed that game, but I guess we are in that game because it says the marquee down there. Seattle Giants. Seattle stops the run. That's what they do. They cannot keep a passer worth of shit. Now I know that they've lost some guys. They're a lot of those teams are passing to come back against them against LA. Puka Nacua went off. They didn't give up any passing touchdowns, but Matthew Stafford had 300 yards. Right in the game against the Lions, they had 296 over 200 yards passing from Jared Goff, almost 300 yards. And then last week, Andy Dalton threw for 336. They lost, but they threw for 336. Okay, what the Seattle Seahawks are doing well, they're stopping the run. They are not doing much on the back end of the pass. Doesn't mean they won't be able to. Doesn't mean they're not going to bring a blitz. I think they started to find something with Jaron Reed. They're going to get a couple guys back. They have an athletic defense. What it means, though, is you can't turn the freaking ball over, which the Giants have done in every game. Okay, you can't get behind early because that will abandon the run and you'll play right into Seattle's hands. Seattle moved the football last week against Carolina. They settled for field goals. Okay, the Giants are the worst. I heard someone say, "Oh, well, the Seattle's 27th in the league in defense." That's fine. but we're not that much better at stopping points. We've given up. I think we're the league leader in points per game average. You got to get out early.
Yeah.
Get out early. Get out early. Dictate the game, and maybe you'll. I'm picking them to win against Seattle. Spoiler: I'm picking them to beat Seattle because if they don't, I think the season's on the line. I'm sorry, the season is on the line this week, week 4. If they lose this game, good night the lights, people. Good night the lights. I don't care what anybody tells me. You're not going to beat Buffalo with this roster right now. And you saw what freaking Miami did to Denver. You don't think they could easily put 40 points up in a blink of an eye? So those two, I don't want to chalk them up for losses, but they're going to be huge mountains to climb. With a with a banged up offensive line, a banged up Barkley, and all these things, it's going to be tough. You need to beat Seattle. Seattle is the game of the season. I told you to start the game that the Cowboys would kind of dictate how the season would go. They lost that game. Right now, you need to pull yourself up from the bootstraps. If we see a first half of lethargic football and they come out and play, I guess, uninspired, that's it for me. I'm done. You're not going to beat these big teams doing that. And you've got 3 big teams coming up on your schedule. The next soft game is not till against the Jets. The next 3 games, I think you play what? Let me look it up just to make sure. You play
Seattle, Miami, Buffalo.
Seattle, Miami, Buffalo, and then I think there's the Commanders are in there as well, right? So
Commanders are after Buffalo, I believe. Yeah.
Right. So you don't really get a reprieve in 3 weeks. You play Seattle, who's going to be tough. You play Buffalo, who's going to be tough. You're going to play Miami, who's going to be tough. And then you finally land on the Commanders, who, by the way, are not going to lie down for us at all. Sorry, one of my soapbox there.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
Kareem Hunt's on the ground.
But this like I said, what I'm telling you when I say commit to the run, they have to, like I said, because even in this San Fran game, I hear what you're saying, but they were never at a point in this game where they had to abandon the run game the way they did. They never got no point in this game, even in the second half to come out. Where was the score at the halftime? It was like they got the score. It was like it was reasonable. There was no reason to just act like we just can't run the football anymore. We don't have time to run the football anymore. You had plenty of time to still go out there and get some things done, and they just it just went away from it. Like I said, it's avoided like the plague. And that's got you got to with this right now, the way this offensive line is set up, the way this team is set up, you got to run that football because that's the one thing this O-line does have decent is run block. They don't do it necessarily great, but they do it at least half decent. They do it significantly better than they pass block. And you got to keep defenses honest, man. You can't go out there and making it just that easy for the defenses, man, against this New York Giant team, man, because we're just not built that way. We're not built to sit back and drop the quarterback back 30, 40 times. We're not that kind of team. We can't be that kind of team. We can't try to pretend to be that kind of team. We are who we are, and we got to use the running backs we got. We got to use Brightwell. If Barkley's not there, we got to use Breeder. You got to use Eric Gray. Let's see what he got. Eric Gray, who knows? Turn around, hand the ball off to him. It's not going to hurt nothing, at least to see. Well, you can't know until you see. You can't know until you see. You can't. You got to see it to know whether it's going to work or whether it can't work. So. You can't just not try. You can't make assumptions and say, well, he's a rookie 4th-round pick, so we're not even going to give him any touches. No, go ahead. You throwing him back there on kickoff and punt returns. Shit, turn around, hand the ball off to him. You ain't got Barkley right now. You got to use everything you got. You got to hit him with everything. Like you said, you can't just keep coming out there slow, lethargic, and getting off to these slow starts, man. It's just not going to be a thing, man. That's not going to be a recipe for success. Like you said, I don't know if I'm going to go down the hole if the season's over if we lose this game because there's still a lot of time to make up. But at the end of the day, you got to go out here and establish yourself and see what you really truly are. If you want to be a team that's going to be trying to compete late in November and December for a playoff spot, or if you're just going to kind of be a team that's going to be floundering up and down all season. So,
yes. So just to answer a couple of the questions from. No Mets. Kareem Hunt, I think, went back to the Browns.
He did.
Passing only works for KC, you're right. And was the Bosa sack. DJ didn't see that coming. I think there is an issue with DJ's pre-snap adjustments. I never see him check out of plays, really. Like, is that because you're not told to check out of plays? Or is because when a guy does well with the hurry-up offense, that tells me it's easier for you because you don't have to think. It's 1, 2, 3, bang, 1, 2, 3, bang. When you have to adjust and you're not seeing anything, and I don't think anyone's calling him out. I mean, I think they call the play as called because Jermichael Schmitz is the center, and he may not know all the checks yet to make those calls. So you're the quarterback. You got to make. Eli used to be Omaha, Omaha, right? And that would mean like right or left, and then he would change the play, and call it out. Sometimes they do it. They say Balboa, Balboa. That's what they said against the Eagles. It didn't work. It didn't work out, but I think there needs to be some adjustments made. I think two things. One, I believe the NFL has figured out Brian Daboll, and two, Brian Daboll had rumor has it in Buffalo he abandoned the run a lot. That was one of his negatives, and his knock on him was he didn't run a lot. And I understand why when you have an all-world guy like Josh Allen back there who does everything under the sun, run, catch, pass, throw, you can do that. You don't have that here. You don't have a guy that could elevate the offensive line like Josh Allen does. Their offensive line is not great on Buffalo. Go look them up. They got like fifth rounders, sixth rounders, but their quarterback allows for them to play above the X's and O's a little bit. You don't have that back here. You got to know your personnel. And as for Waller, there's one thing that has been told that I've heard a rumor and it's swirled about that he has a hamstring injury. And it's a degenerative hamstring injury, apparently, where it's going to be, he's going to have to deal with it. So if that's the case and the Giants got another bag of goods because this guy isn't performing well and isn't the same explosionness that I see, I see George Kittle running by people. I see Darren Waller barely getting off the line. So I'm hoping that he's going to be okay. But if it is a true issue going forward, the Giants got bamboozled on the trade, and they're going to need to find another guy who can do it. I don't see Bellinger out there. Lawrence Cager, where's he? Come on.
But that's what I mean. Like, just you gotta at some point you gotta start getting these guys, putting guys out there, and seeing who really wants to step up and who wants to make plays for this football team, man. Because it's just right now, Paris Campbell. You're sending Paris Campbell out on these little 5-yard out routes and shit like that. Like, give me a break, man. I thought he was this guy supposed to be a speed guy, burner guy that can make big plays, get behind the defense, and he's out there running little 5-yard routes and then falling down when he catches the football. Like, come on, man.
I don't know.
Just, you know what?
I don't know if the coaching has anything to do with it. I have no idea. I don't know if they're not buying into the system. I don't know what it is, but there's a disconnect happening between the players and this team. If they come out, like I said, this will be my last point. If they come out flat again, uninspired on Monday Night Football, again with the world watching, and Seattle gets it, because you say to run the football. Seattle's strength on defense is stopping the run. That's what they're good at. They haven't given up a 100-yard rusher in any of the games they played. Okay, no one's gone over 100 yards, cracked the 100-yard mark on them. So I think that's where you're gonna have to figure out if they stop your run, because maybe Barkley's not in the game and they are stopping Eric Gray and Gary Brightwell, well, you're gonna need to step the hell up. And if they come out lethargic, again, I'm gonna put something on the coaching. I'm gonna say something is not right here. Either A, the team knows Daniel's not good and they're uninspired because they're like, you paid this guy, we're stuck with him, or they're not listening to Daboll for some reason, which is not bad. I'm not trying to say he has a sophomore slump, but 3 games in a row is becoming a trend. The fact that we have to light a fire under Kayvon Thibodeau's ass to get him started, and he had that sack and did nothing the rest of the game.
That's what I was going to say. All he did was get 1 sack, and that was it.
And I mean,
that was it.
I
wouldn't call that getting him started. He got a sack, and he didn't even get so much as a pressure the rest of the game that I noticed. He did nothing at all the rest of the game.
I saw Shane Zimenez more in the shot than I did Kayvon Thibodeau, and that's sad.
So, look, so you said you think the Giants winning against Seattle on Monday night?
I'm reluctantly picking them. I don't know. My gut is telling me not to, but I'm going to say they're going to win on Monday night. They've got to win.
Yeah. Well, I'm picking them just because I want to think that, like you said, what you're right, these guys can't come out flat again. And Daboll, you can't have these guys coming out flat again, or there's going to be a serious problem. And I think it will be more so with the coaching situation. Because I do believe, for whatever, I know it might sound crazy, but I do believe Daniel Jones has the respect of his teammates in that locker room. I really, really do. I mean, I'm not expecting guys to get up and throw their guy quarterback under the bus publicly to the media, but at the same time, these guys speak very highly of Daniel Jones, and they don't have to do that either. So I feel like that he does have the respect of his teammates. So I think it's more. I think that's a situation more on coaching with the way they've been coming out these first few games. What's going on, Wells? Thanks for stopping in, bro. I appreciate you, man. But I think I want to. This team needs to come out there on Monday night. I think they're going to get the job done. I think because at some point you got to get the monkey off your back a little bit, man. This prime time thing, it's. I don't know if it's in their heads, if it's something like truly just a mental thing right now with these guys, but they got to figure out a way. You can't just keep coming out there and losing these games, especially to the better teams. You got to prove that you can play with the better teams. In Seattle, they might not be necessarily considered the powerhouse of the NFC, but they're a good team. They have a reputation of being a good team, very well coached football team, future Hall of Fame head coach, right, leading the way with them right now. But I think you can come out there, you get the job done against Seattle in front of in your home state, at home, and get MetLife in front of your home state fans, man. You got to give them something better because what you gave them in week one wasn't even remotely good enough anyway. So you definitely owe these fans a lot from after what you did in week one, having them sit out there in that rain and get embarrassed the way you did against Dallas week one. So I want to hope this team has enough pride to dig deep and figure out a way to get the job done against Seattle, no matter who's on the field. Whether Barkley's out there, whether he's not out there, whether Andrew Thomas is not out there, it doesn't matter who's out there. Azeez Ojulari, next man up, somebody step up, rise to the occasion, and play well as a team and get the job done. That's what it's going to take, a good team effort. Because right now, I just don't know what to say about this team anymore. They've been disappointed. They've been a disappointment thus far. I didn't expect the kind of energy that we've been seeing out there. I thought you at least, if nothing else, we see guys flying around the field, and if we were like losing games, it was just because we just don't have the talent to keep up with the better squads. But we're losing games partly because of that as well, but also because we're playing poor. We're beating ourselves as well, making stupid mistakes, not poor tackling, the penalties. It's all like things that we didn't see a season ago with this football team. This team played above like you say, played above the X's and O's a season ago, and now this season it's been a mess. So this is where they gotta start correcting things because, like you said, you got two very tough games coming up behind this one as well, man. Well, three. You got a few tough games right behind this one as well, and you can't get that dig yourself in too deep of a hole if you want to try it. If you actually do have any plans on competing late in the season. Any more final thoughts before we move on?
No.
Me neither. I ain't got nothing else, man. This team better go out there and get the job done Monday night, and that's all I got to say about that. So let's move on to something a little more interesting. Upset of the week. Upset special of the week, man. Guess who called it, guys? I'm dialing it up, baby. I'm dialing it up right now. The upset special of the week.
What?
This is the upset special of the week. I'm dialing it up.
Gonna think? Oh my God.
Arizona, because this is what Dallas does occasionally, man. They do it about 2 or 3 times a year, man. They'll go play a team like this, and they will drop the ball completely, man. I'm dialing it up. I know I sound crazy as shit right now. The Arizona Cardinals win this football game.
Well, Mac, I have to now erase everything, and it just deleted all the picks because my computer.
I thought our Washington pick was good. You just blew it out of the
computer
park.
is crashing right now because you just picked the Arizona Cardinals. They won't even let me put Arizona in. I can't believe you did that. Ridiculous.
Yes, I did that. I just saw it happening, man. I can feel it, man. And the Cowboys are definitely good for a couple of those this season, man. And I just had a feeling that this was the week that it was coming, and I nailed it, man. But how you feel about this matchup, Adam? About this game?
Well, if I were a Cowboy fan, I'd be pretty embarrassed to have lost to the Arizona Cardinals in that fashion. But I had to take my hats off to the Cardinals. They played harder than I thought they were going to play. And it goes to show when you play down to your competition, because that's what the Cowboys did. Okay, they played down to their competition. They couldn't stop the run. Okay, they weren't getting off the field on third down. And then their offense was moving the ball up and down the field, but then in the red zone, they were getting field goals or getting stopped. I mean, I didn't get to watch. I got to watch the second half of the game, which I was glad because they had the stupid Kansas City whatever game on, and their Chicago game, and they're getting their doors blown off, and they're like, "Well, due to the game stinking, we're going to move you to the Cowboy game." Like, thank God, right? So there I am watching this, and I'm watching this team, and I'm looking at the Cowboys. I'm like, it always felt like they had a chance to come back. It just they would do like you can't have 10 penalties. You just can't do it. You can't have 10 penalties. You can't not score in the red zone. You can't when you chase points there, 4th and 2, right? You got cocky and went for it instead of taking the points. I thought that was a bad move by Mike McCarthy, which he's known to make some boneheaded decisions. I thought that was a boneheaded decision right there. You take the points because then they get down in the red zone again. And they were down at this point, you would have been down 16-21, right? And then you go down there again, and you could have kicked the field goal again, which you did, and made it 19-21. And now you have a shot at saying, now we kick a field goal again if we stop them, and we can win the football game. Instead, they kick a field goal. Their defense lets up a huge passing play. I think it was passing play or run play. One of the two happened. And the Cardinals are down the field, bing, bang, boom, in the end zone. Game is basically over. Then you have a chance to get the ball back with about 5 minutes to go in the game. You move the football downfield into the red zone. With 3 minutes to go in the game, you're in the red zone. It's 3rd and whatever. Your quarterback drops back, and I don't know who the hell he's throwing to or what the hell he's looking at. First off, there's 3 red jerseys converging onto 1 white jersey, and you just throw the ball like an idiot right in there. Yeah, that's right, an idiot. No Metsto Jets. I know you call me out for saying I don't talk. I always talk well. This guy did a boneheaded move. He shouldn't have made that play, and this game was lost on that play alone. If you look at the stats, you're like, oh, well, Dak Prescott played an okay game, 1 interception. Yeah, well, that 1 interception was at the worst time of the game. And that's why sometimes when you look at stats, you got to read stats. I sometimes read, if you didn't watch the game, as cliff notes. They give you an overview. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. But if you look at it and you want to dig deeper in and investigate as to why, like some people have an interception. Jalen Hurts had an interception. It was a bad interception, but it was at the other end of the field. Right? So you're not as bad about it because guess what? You had it at the other end and they have to drive 95 yards to go score. Go challenge my defense. You threw an interception when the game is on the line. And this now is going to haunt your reputation because instead of making a smart play and throwing it out of the back of the end zone and living to fight another day, if Dak Prescott doesn't throw that and they lose the game, it would just be, hey, man, the red zone, they got to figure it out. But you threw a costly pick with 3 minutes to go in the game. All you need is 1 stop. Your offense is cooking. They're moving the football up and down the field. They can't even stop you. Your run game, you're running downhill. Tony Pollard and number 34, Dowling, running all over this team. And you do that. And that is why Dak Prescott gets the reputation that he gets. That, it's well-deserved at some points. At some points it's not. Today it's well-deserved. That's why people don't think he's a franchise quarterback. When you do dumb shit like that, awareness in the game matters. I would be railroading Daniel Jones if he did this shit. If he threw it out of bounds, I would be like, you know what, Daniel did the smart play. You didn't score, but he did the smart play. You got to railroad this guy for being dumb. These are the plays that cost you championships.
Well. I mean, I definitely agree. I agree at 100% with everything you said. But here's one of the big reasons this Dallas Cowboy team took this L, man, on Sunday. And it's 30 carries, 222 yards on the ground, man. That's what the Arizona Cardinals run game did to the Dallas Cowboys. 98 of those yards coming from James Conner, a guy that they had to come into this game, had to be their main emphasis to stop on this Cardinal offense, and they did not get the job done stopping James Conner. 14 carries for 98 yards on the day. This is how you slow down a great pass rush is what the Cardinals did. You go out there and you run the football at them, man. You run the football directly at this defense, man, and you're going to slow that pass rush down, which is exactly what the Arizona Cardinals did. And I don't want to know. I'm not going to say it's a blueprint because this Dallas Cowboy defense is very talented, but right there, man, proof's in the pudding, man. They ran the ball very well and very effectively. And as you see, they went away with a W, man, and it's a big upset out in the desert, man. Like I said, you can't speak more. I mean, Rondale Moore had that big touchdown run. He had 54 yards on the ground. Joshua Dobbs had 55 yards on the ground. I mean, Joshua Dobbs actually played a really good game overall. His numbers don't necessarily blow anybody away 17 21, 189 yards, and the touchdown pass. But at the end of the day, it's a very efficient
He
performance.
was effective.
And and a very good, yeah, good job. I mean, respectable performance, good job. He hung in there, and against, like I said, against a very tough pass rush. Cowboys got to him, a couple of times I think, or maybe yeah, a couple of times they got to him, but that's it. I mean, only 2 sacks allowed. Look at, like I said, I hate to keep going back and beating a dead horse, but look what they did to the New York Giants week 1, man. That pass rush was relentless, and part of it was because the New York Giants were not running the football effectively. I mean, so you got to be able to keep this defense on their heels, and you run that football right at them, man. That's the weakest thing about this defense is their run stopping, man. So
I don't know
you
why
got
they
to do
didn't
that.
blitz. They just kind of rested on their laurels, like, "Hey, our front four is going to stop you," and they never
That's
did.
what they thought. That's what they seemed to think, but it wasn't working, man. Cardinals wasn't having it, man. They came out. So anybody with the more the Cardinals is tanking. Clearly, they're not, because the Cardinals have went out there for 3 straight weeks and they played pretty tough football. I mean, that other than it was a debacle or the second half against the Giants, obviously, but they went out there and they've been playing some inspired football through the first 3 weeks of this season for the most part. Not like a team that's tanking at all, So
They could
let's
easily be two
keep
and
that in
one.
perspective. Exactly, they could very easily be 2-1. So this for hell they had a chance in all 3 games. You know what I mean?
They could technically be 3-0. I
Yeah,
mean, but
so
the
yeah,
Giant game was in their hands. And they blew it. I mean, they blew the second half.
yeah, they completely blew that one. That's been the worst they've looked. The second half of that game clearly been the worst they've looked all season.
Because you know why? They abandoned the run in the second half of the football game, and that's why it cost them. Because instead of chewing up clock and eating up clock, they had one long drive. I don't want to revision history, but it's to your point. They had one long drive, and then they did a couple 3-and-outs because they passed the ball, and there was a couple incompletes, and then of course the last drive they had false start after false start, and when you're in like 3rd and 16, it's hard to make those, right? So that's what cost them. In this game, they did not shoot themselves in the foot the same way in the second half, and they ran the football, and it was effective with the play action in the short game. Running the football matters, man. I know running backs don't want to pay running backs, but running the football matters.
Absolutely agree, man. You just have to, man. You can't make it so easy for a defense, man. If you just gonna sit back and just keep dropping your quarterback back, like defenses, certain types of defenses, man, like this Dallas Cowboy defense, for instance, you're just gonna make it too easy, make it way too easy. So you gotta keep these teams on their heels. But I'm assuming you have any more points about this Dallas Cowboy
No, we
Arizona
can move on to
Cardinals,
our next week game.
and then yeah, let's go let's see how you think Dallas rebounds against this New England Patriots team at home in Dallas on Sunday afternoon, man.
I think they're going to rebound because I think they're national news. I think they took the Cardinals lightly. I really do. I think they overlooked them and said we can beat this team. The Giants hung 31 on them. We beat the hell out of the Giants. We beat the hell out of the freaking Jets, who have Wilson and Jones. And they go up again. They're not playing murderer's row of quarterbacks right now. They're playing Daniel Jones, Zach Wilson, Joshua Dobbs, Mac Jones. I mean, it's not murderer's row here. I think they overlooked them. This one you can't overlook because that defense is legit on New England. They have guys that can get to the quarterback. Matthew Judon's having a good season out there. They blitz and overall, I think what has kept New England in a lot of these games has been their defense and surprising their defense. Offensively, they're going to run the football. Zeke Elliott, they're going to try to get him going against his old team. And don't you think he hasn't circled this game on the calendar going back to Dallas and Big D? Dallas needs this game because, again, every AFC record matters against the AFC East this year because if we're going to challenge for the Eagles, and let's say they split against the Eagles and have the same record, it's going to come down to a common opponent, which will be the New England Patriots. The Eagles have beat the New England Patriots. The Cowboys now need to beat the New England Patriots. I think they bounce back in this game. I think they have a chance to win it. I think they're going to try to put New England on notice. I do think New England is going to hang with them. Mac Jones, whether we like it or not, has played better football this season. Okay, he has. We don't want to admit it because sometimes when the media casts a guy aside, we don't want to give him credit when credit is due. But if we're going to give credit to guys like Daniel, I have to give credit to a guy like Mac Jones who has played admirably better, considerably better than last year, and has kept them in games and has minimized the mistakes. I think Cowboys have enough talent on defense to hang out with their offense, and I think you're going to see their defense bounce back because I just don't believe Dan Quinn is going to let these boys do that. And I think Micah Parsons needs to get going. Whatever Arizona did to kind of stifle his pass rush, they need to figure something out. Whether that's sitting down and circling all the offensive linemen and trying to figure out what one-on-one matchup works best for you. Micah Parsons was mortal. He did get a couple. He did get some quarterback hits, and I think he even got a sack. But if he goes, the Dallas Cowboys go. I think he's going to have a bounce back game.
Well, the Dallas Cowboys, I think, they're going to have a. This is also what the Dallas Cowboys do, and I would not want to be the New England Patriots. They just suffered an embarrassing loss against the Arizona Cardinals last week, and the Dallas Cowboys are notorious for answering back with a vengeance,
Uh-oh.
and
Mr. Matt.
that is the New England Patriots. The position the New England Patriots have find themselves in this week. Going down to Dallas, I think the doors get blown off. I honestly believe the
Wow.
Dallas Cowboys are going to blow the doors off the New England
I think they
Patriots
win, bro.
on Sunday. I think they're going to defensively can absolutely dominate the game. Defensively, I feel bad for Mac Jones. I think he's going to have a long afternoon, and I just think offensively, this offense wakes up as well and just goes off and explodes,
I think
man.
this
And I
defense
think
has too much pride. The first two games show me they'll be a force to be reckoned
I believe I think the Dallas Cowboys are going to go out there and they're going to really take all their frustrations out on this New England Patriot team. Unfortunately, that's the position that the Patriots find
with.
themselves
Oh,
in. I mean, that's just what the Cow. I mean, this is like the same way I said they were notorious for having those bad losses. They're also notorious for answering back from those, responding from those bad losses in big ways, man. And I can see it happening. I'm not obviously can't guarantee anything. And New England Patriots are New England Patriots, like you said. They've been playing pretty good football throughout this the first few weeks of this season. Mac Jones is playing better, stepping up, cleaning up some of the mistakes, the errors from a year ago, and and I do agree with all of that. And Bill Belichick is definitely the head coach, and you know how he's going to have his team always ready and prepared, but. I just don't see it this week, man. I see the Cowboys absolutely trashing the New England Patriots, unfortunately, because they're coming off of a very ugly and embarrassing loss, and they gotta let everybody know, put the league back on notice once again that they are for real. Because when you lose to the Arizona Cardinals the way they did, you don't look very real at that point. So they gotta figure out a way to shake that off, and that's gonna be by coming out here and absolutely taking it to the New England Patriots, man. I think you're gonna see I could see like a maybe 3 sack type performance from Michael Parsons. I could see a game of that caliber from this guy. I could just see the plays being made all over the field. I mean, I don't. I know the Cardinals were smart. They came out and they kind of attacked the guy that was stepping in for Trayvon Diggs, and maybe the Patriots will take that same approach. But I'm not sure if they're going to be able to pull it off as successfully as the Cardinals were able to. And I just don't see it. I see the Patriots taking the L here in a big way down in Dallas on Sunday, man.
like my last thing is, I think I understand where you're coming from when they attacked him, but that newcomer. But let's be honest, that guy had what didn't get the starters reps on Sunday, right? On during the week, he got them like later in the week because he got injured. So this guy wasn't expected to start. I think Dan Quinn will have a plan going up against this team, and I think you'll see that plan executed to perfection come Sunday night football, come Sunday afternoon.
Perhaps that is also a good point. He didn't get the full workload and practice all during the week and get prepared for that game against the Cardinals. But at the end of the day, whoever he is, he still also is not a Trayvon Diggs. But so it's still no matter what, they're still losing something there. And the New England Patriots actually their passing attack has been surprisingly good. Who's the receiver? Has been making plays all over the place all season. All 3 games, he's making plays for him, man.
I know. I think I know who you're talking about.
Oh man, why is his name escaping me right now? Where is this guy's name? What is his name? I can't even find the damn. game right now. Here we go. This guy. Oh, Kendrick Bourne's been making plays all over the place. Farrell Brown led the way in this past game, but Kendrick Bourne's been making plays, man, like all season long, consistently. Been looking like a really good receiver, man. Looking like he's trying to have a career type of year. Ezekiel Elliott ran the ball really well, but I'm not sure. I forgot about that little twist right
Kendrick
there.
Bourne was good.
Ezekiel Elliott back in Dallas. I wonder how about that. I didn't even think about that. He had a good game a week ago. How you think
That's what I
he
said.
matches up with
I said
his old squad?
I said
I
before he's
forgot.
gonna. I said before he's gonna have an inspired game. Coming back, playing in Dallas. I think you're gonna see. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets 100 yards. I think he's gonna. I think he's not washed, but he does what New England does well. And I like Kendrick Bourne. He came from San Francisco, got a big contract. He's playing pretty well. They have Juju Smith-Schuster out there. They have Hunter Henry, the tight end. Like I said, Mac Jones is not a Zach Wilson. I think this is the best quarterback they have will play, or the best quarterback the best quarterback should have been Daniel Jones. But I think right now, if you compare the two seasons, Mac Jones had a little better season than Daniel. That's nothing against Daniel. It's just facts right now. I think this is the best quarterback they see right now, and I think Ezekiel Elliott's going to be juiced up. Why wouldn't he be?
We will see, man. It's going to be definitely interesting. Something to keep an eye on, man. Ezekiel Elliott, how he's how he deal
Careful of
with
those.
maybe I don't know.
Careful of the cup checks, people. Mac Jones will cup check you, as Sauce Gardner so eloquently put out there. Did you see that nonsense?
Well, I didn't even see that.
Oh man,
That's funny.
I wish I was tech savvy. I would bring up the clip, but there's a clip of him. Apparently, I can't really tell, but Sauce says that Mac Jones got up and grabbed his nether region, so to speak, and so now there's a meme all over the place that he's doing that. So the running joke is, Mac Jones will try to cup check you in the middle of the game. So just be aware that if you're not wearing a cup, Mac Jones may come and check it out for you.
What's going on, Deception, man? Thanks for stopping in. Appreciate you, bro.
Deception.
No doubt indeed, man. But yeah. So I just think that. So how do you see this one playing? You say how did you see this one playing out?
I think we're in agreement with both Dallas
the win.
winning. I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any stretch. I think it's going to be, I think it's going to be a solid game. Oh my God, Mac Jones played horrible. He had 51% completion last week, but he was playing the Jets defense, so we'll see.
Now he's playing the Cowboy defense.
Yeah, now he's playing the Cowboy
defense. an angry Cowboy defense. On top of that,
and so he's got to play a little better than that. But I think if this game were New England, I would say New England has a chance. I just don't think they're going to win the game because Dallas crowd is going to be loud. They're going to come out, like you said. I think they're going to make a statement. When you get embarrassed like this against for a team like the Dallas Cowboys, who are good and expect to win, I think they're going to come out and really take it to the next team. I really do.
Yeah, I mean that's just how I feel about it. Like you said, I think they blow the doors off the Patriots. Unfortunately, I think the Patriots are in a bad spot this week going against this team coming off the loss that they just coming off that loss against the Cardinals.
All I'm saying, if you're in FanDuel, you may want to run with Mac. He's Mystic Mac for a reason. He's called the game last week. He's don't sleep on him. If I had a few bucks, I might throw a few bucks down on FanDuel as well. Not that I'm condoning gambling or anything like that. Some people have serious problems, but I'm just saying if I had a few pennies to spare, I would put them on that right there.
Well, it was a tough week for the NFC East for sure. And we're going to get right to another one, man. Buffalo Bills traveling into the nation's capital to take on the Commanders, and they absolutely went in there and trashed the Washington Commanders at home. This game, for all purposes, was truly a shutout. The Commanders scored a meaningless field goal late in the game just to make it not a shutout. To me, that's almost like just, what are you doing at this point? You kicking a field goal just to say we didn't get shut out? You got shut out. You got shut out, basically. That field goal, when they kicked that field goal, it was already 37-0 when they kicked that field goal. And so it was very absolutely meaningless in the fourth quarter. Sam Howell had his worst start to date.
Yes, he did.
Young man Sam Howell was out there throwing the ball continuously to the Buffalo Bills. 19 of 29, 170 yards, no touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. 4 INTs on the day for Sam Howell.
Oh,
Not exactly a recipe for success for any quarterback or any team, man. So how do you feel about the way this game played out?
Mama said there'd be days like this, there'd be days like this, there'd be days. Sam, pick your head up. This is the NFL. This is why you play the games. You're going to learn a lot from this game. I'm not going to, if I'm a Commander fan, I'm not, jumping ship right now. Let's see how he plays against the Eagles, if he can give you a bounce back performance and kind of keep you in that game next week. But man, oh man, oh man. And not to mention, he also got sacked 9 times. I mean, let's be real. That Buffalo Bills defense harassed him. And that's why I'm, as a Giant fan, pretty nervous going into these games against these teams that are exotic, because the AFC East, they play a brand of football that we remember from like the 90s. They slug it out. They have a lot of tough, hard-fought games. I mean, even the Jet game when they played Buffalo, even though Buffalo turned it over 4 times, you can't expect that every week. But, here they are. And man, oh man, they needed this. They needed Sam Howell needed to be a little humbled. I also think this is one of those games where you get embarrassed. I expect them to put up a good effort next week against who they play next. We'll obviously preview that, but I expect them to put up a good game next week. Buffalo needed this game because they're going to Miami, and they needed to show that they aren't going to give it away. But if Josh Allen had a pedestrian game at his standard, 218 yards and an interception, but let's really get into the nitty-gritty of the stats. 386 yards of total offense, 218. They had 168 yards rushing. 168 yards rushing. Seems to be a theme with these winning teams with 168 yards rushing. So that's what really puts the game on. What that does here, let me tell you how it does. If the Arizona Cardinals rushed the football more in the second half against the Giants, they would have won the game. Why? Rushing the football slows the game down. The clock continues to move. And usually in these games, when you're up this big or you're trying to climb back into these games, running the football slows the possession down, doesn't put the time on the opposing team's side. If you pass the ball like the Arizona Cardinals did in week 2 and you go 3 and out, you are having more propensity of false starting, going 3 and out, punting the football. There were possessions in that game where if you go back, they had a chance to win. They abandoned James Conner at all costs. Now you saw what they did against the Cowboys. They didn't abandon the run, they won. Same thing with the Buffalo Bills. They just kept churning. They didn't turn the ball over. They ran the football. The Commanders gave the ball back, and bang, The reason why that 3 doesn't count, I mean, it does count in the standings. It just makes it look like you didn't get beaten 40-0. That's essentially what it's looking like, because you'll go down the line and be like, at least we didn't get beaten 40-0. Listen, who knows what shellacking the Bills will put on us when we play them, because I don't think we're at that level with those teams. But, man, humbling experience. Let's see how they bounce back. This week's a tough test for them. For the Commander. Can't really say much more than that.
I mean, you just got to clean it up. I mean, you can't go out there and turn the ball over 5 times and expect to even to be in a football game. It's just not going to work. Antonio Gibson still seems to have that issue with holding on to the football, man. This young man's got to clean that up, man. I don't know. They need to bring a specialist in to work with him, like the Giants did years ago with Tiki Barber, to figure out something. But this kid clearly has a fumbling issue. Turned the ball over, fumbled the ball quite a bit a season ago. That was put him in the doghouse with the coaching staff, and he had another big one this week. And then, like you said, Sam Howell, man, you can't. I mean, get it. You're only 3 games in this season. This is only your 4th career start against a good Buffalo Bills team, but you can't go out there and just keep throwing those bad passes. The interceptions were bad. They weren't even like they were bad interceptions. Like pretty much, if I at least three of them that I saw for sure were bad. Like just balls that he had no business even throwing. He's gotta get better at that. Young quarterback in his development, man. But yeah, this was just nothing really. I can't think of anything good to say. Take away from this game because the Washington Commanders really went out there and they put a stinker up there for their home fans on Sunday against the Buffalo Bills. I'm not saying I didn't expect them to actually win the football game against this team, but I thought, given what we've seen from the Washington Commanders the first couple of weeks, that they were going to be a lot more competitive, man. And to pretty much just score three meaningless points late in the game when you were already getting blown out 37-0 anyway, putting a field goal on the board just to avoid a shutout is, to me, just it wasn't. It was cringeworthy a little bit. So let's get ready to move on real quick. And we'll get back to the Washington Commanders in a few minutes. But right now we're going to go to Monday Night Football a couple of nights ago where the battle of two 2-0 football teams, man, both playing, okay football, pretty decent football. Both sitting 2-0, tops of their divisions. And one of them was going to come out 3-0, and one of them was going to come out 2-1. And the Philadelphia Eagles, they put their put their foot down, and they left out their game 3-0, and with their best overall performance of the season thus far to this point, in my opinion. This Philadelphia team can run the football with the absolute best of them, man, and that's starting to get scary because this football team that we knew was going to be really good is coming out this season and they're finding different ways to win football games, which is what the great teams do. And this year they are leaning heavily on one DeAndre Swift, man. 16 carries for 130 yards. That is back-to-back huge performances for DeAndre Swift, man. Back-to-back huge performances for him. So how do you feel about the Philadelphia Eagles, Adam?
Well, again, good teams find a way to win, right? And they found a way, and I think this game you started to see. I was talking with the defensive side. You started to see their defense coming around, right? You're starting to see their defense look like it played the best game of the season for them. They're going to go to Tampa Bay, which maybe Tampa Bay might be a little fraudulent. They might be more towards the middle of the pack like the Giants are than a 2-0 team, but they gave Baker Mayfield fits. Now Baker Mayfield didn't have a horrible game, didn't have a great game, but it wasn't like like when he was playing with the Panthers, right? When we're like, oh my God, this guy never needs to see a field again. He actually, kept his team in the game when he could and tried to make plays when they were there. He managed the game, but the defense was dominant. They were dominant. Jalen Hurts played a better game. He had two turnovers. One was, like I said, down at the other end of the field where they had that safety, right? That was that big old throw down there. I think that's what happened. And I don't know, man. The Eagles just keep on churning. They just keep on winning. And their defense, like I said, it started to wake up. Their defense was having some trouble, adapting to the new system and everything like this. I think this game you saw Jalen Carter make plays, Jordan Davis make plays, Nolan Smith damn near knocked the quarterback out of the game. You have Zach Cunningham, who, by the way, was a great addition to this team, late signing. The guy's flying around all over the field. You have Morrow in front of Kobe Dean. It's as if they never missed a beat. Their back-end guys, there's like Blankenship and James Bradbury. They lost their nickel corner. Doesn't matter. Next man up. They're playing, right? So defensively, I thought they had a decent performance. Offensively, DeAndre Swift is the steal of the draft, people. The steal of the draft. Howie Roseman, if this guy stays healthy and he has a big year, will be executive of the year for that move alone. You go to the Lions. You say, hey, Lions, you're signing David Montgomery. You're not using DeAndre Swift. You lost Jamal Williams. You want to trade us DeAndre Swift? He doesn't do anything for you. He's going to suck with us, right? Sure, we'll give him to you. How about a fifth-round pick? Deal. Great job. Boom. Off to Philadelphia. Comes into Philadelphia, and boy, does this guy fit the system well. Every time he touches the football, I think he's going to break one for a long run. He just can run. Excuse me. When runners got it, and he's got it. He's got the Shady. Someone mentioned Shady McCoy. I think it was AK who had a discussion. He's like a little bit of Shady McCoy. I think he's smoother than that. I think he's a little Shady McCoy with a little Le'Veon Bell, because like Le'Veon Bell, he kind of glides down the line looking for a hole. But then when he gets out there, he can run you over. He can juke you. He can run. He's on a different level. It's like he's on a different field when he's out there. Then you see Kenneth Gainwell come in there and he lumbers in and Penny. But when they put in Swift, he makes that offense go. That offense is going. They're going to – I'm telling you right now, if I'm Nick Sirianni, I say, listen, Jalen, I love you, man. You're going to get your touches, but you need to give the ball to Agent Zero. We need to get him the ball. We need to give him the ball on screenplays. We need to have him out of the backfield. I think he even almost caught a wheel route at one point. I think I saw him do that. It was a little overthrown by Jalen, but they can do everything with him. And here's the funny part. There's arguing on the sidelines or in the game by A.J. Brown. He wants the ball. You're winning, bro. And he's sitting there complaining to Jalen Hurts that he ain't getting the ball. It's like, listen, they can hit you on one side. They can hit you on the left side. Their tight end is starting to come around. Dallas Goedert, remember, he was injured last year. He's starting to get a sea legs. I don't want to know what's going to happen with this team going forward. They play, obviously, both teams meet up. They play the Redskins on Sunday afternoon. I don't know what to expect. I have no idea what to expect. NFC's games are tricky. Remember, Washington beat them last year. Who knows? But if I'm the Commanders, I'm a little nervous. I really am.
I mean, it's nothing like home cooking, man. I know this game was down Tampa Bay, but DeAndre Swift is a Philly guy. He is from Philadelphia. He is from so he playing for his home team he grew up rooting for, and there's something to be said about that, man. He's around. He's back home around his family, friends. And he just feels comfortable, man, out there because I mean, this guy has been good. He was good in Detroit. Don't get it twisted, but he was injured a lot, missed a lot of time. But he was good in Detroit. He wasn't like he wasn't a good known for being a good back. But now, what he's doing now, what he's been done, especially in particularly the last two games for the Philadelphia Eagles, man, he is putting himself on the map as one of the top running backs in the league. As good as he had been in Detroit, he wasn't necessarily considered one of the top guys. Right now, this early young part of this season, he's definitely a top guy in this league right now running that football, man. Because not many guys are doing it quite as effectively as he is. So hats off to him, man. This guy say, props to him, and that was a hell of a move on draft day to acquire DeAndre Swift. The move is paying big-time dividends because right now where the Eagles are struggling, the areas the Eagles are struggling in, this is making up for it right now in a big, big way. He's definitely keeping his team's head above the water. I mean, other guys are still, doing what they do. Like I said, it's a good football team, and they're finding the ways to still win these football games. But this run game right now is just, it's something that it hasn't been. It's something different. Like I said, this is before Jalen Hurts was kind of the catalyst behind the run game, like a season ago, for instance. This year, they're actually got a running back they can hand the football off to one guy. They don't have to, without it having to be a committee. They got one guy they can lean on, that they're proving that they can lean on in DeAndre Swift, man. He's been getting the job done very, very effective. What's going on, AK? What's up, Bookend Tackles? Thanks for stopping there, fellas.
I think he saw holes in Detroit. I know Bookend said he hasn't seen these holes since GA. I think he saw him in Detroit. He was just more banged up. Detroit had a good offensive line last year. Top 5 offensive line, actually, as a matter of fact. So it's not like he didn't see holes in Detroit. It's just sometimes things don't work out. You get a little banged up. Your career doesn't go the way it's explained, right? He was there the first couple of years, and he got injured. And last year he was injured. And sometimes people are like, we'd rather just cut bait and move on, and see what happens. No harm, no foul. And good for him. Coming to Philadelphia, getting home-cooked meals. You don't know what home-cooked meals can do, man. You don't know what home-cooked meals can do. They can change you. Sometimes it's bad for guys to be home because they've had a bad reputation there, and sometimes it's good for guys to be home. And if this is the team that he's rooting for, and it was his dream to play for the Philadelphia Eagles, I can't blame him at all for playing well. I did mention that already, AK. I think Cunningham was a great signing. Morrow also is playing above the X's and O's. Nakobe Dean I think Nakobe Dean got Wally picked. I'm going to say that right now. I think Nakobe Dean's Wally picked. For all you baseball fans out there, they were top 5 offensive line. You may not want to agree, but they were top 5 offensive line. That's just what it is. And he was injured. But Morrow, I think he's going to Wally pick Nakobe Dean. I mean, if you're playing this well And nothing against Kobe D. I think he's out for 4 or 5 weeks or something like that. Maybe you might want to keep him in there. Hey, listen, do what you got to do. Don't change it up for me.
You got to keep your best. You got to keep your best guys out on the field, under no matter what, man. No guys shouldn't lose their positions, the injuries, their jobs, the injuries. But at the end of the day, if this guy is in there doing better, putting in more consistent play, you got to go. We got to still stay with the hot hand. That's how I feel about it, man. You just can't. You owe that to your team to put the best guys out there, the guys that give you the best chance to succeed. And to be right now, Eagles linebackers have stepped up. That was a big question mark coming into this season for the Eagles, and they're answering it. They're also answering that question because, like, once again, they're not getting the sack numbers like they had, the gaudy sack numbers like they had a year ago, but they're getting good play from other places. Different things. Like I said, good teams figure out a way, and that's part of what the Eagles. That's what the Eagles are. A good football team, great depth. Guys go down, next man fills in. They don't miss a beat. That's how you know you got a good football team. When those things happen, when change happens like that, and everything still seems just as seamless, that's how you know you're working with a good team. Hate to admit it, but it's the truth. The Eagles are the class of the NFC East right for right now. Once again, the Dallas Cowboys had that ugly loss a week ago, knocked them back down a couple notches once again. And the Philadelphia Eagles, the cream rises to the top, and they went out there and put together their best performance of the season on Monday night, and they got the job done. And now they're sitting at the top of the NFC East all alone at 3-0. That's so. Speaking of the NFC East, big NFC East battle this week, man. We got the Washington Commanders, man, traveling to Philly to take on the Philadelphia Eagles. This is a game the Washington Commanders actually won a season ago. They were the first. Were they the first team to beat the Eagles last year? I think they were the first team to beat the Eagles last year, if I'm not mistaken. They kind of laid somewhat of a blueprint out there, even though it didn't really work for anybody else. Nobody else could seem to get the job done. But the Washington Commanders, what they did last year to the Philadelphia was run the ball completely down their throat. And there's a possibility that could still work if you can get the job done effectively. If that's what they're going to try to that's going to be their approach again, is just to turn around, hand the ball off to their running backs, and keep trying to slow the Eagles' pass rush down and keep them on their heels defensively. But that's going to probably be the way they need to go about it, especially after the game Sam Howell had. You don't want them really necessarily dropping back, and Eagles definitely are notorious for forcing those mistakes and those errors. You got to get Sam Howell's confidence back, get him some maybe short passes and stuff like that. Let him just kind of get his sea legs under him, and to see how it happens. But this is going to be a tough task for the Washington Commanders on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, I agree. I agree that the Commanders are going to have I think it's going to be a different outcome. Remember, I think they did go to Philly and beat them. But I think this will be a different game. I think this game you'll see a bounce back performance from the Commanders. They won't look as sloppy, but the Eagles are that team. And if they want to, if they want to, they need to beat this team. This is the team where if you look at the Eagles schedule, you got to win your 6 division games, or at least be 5-1, I believe, right? If you split with the Cowboys, you got to beat the Commanders and you got to beat the Giants. It starts now. Bury this team early, put them down at 2-2, and start to separate yourself as the season goes on. Because as the other teams start to play, because I think Commanders still got to play Miami, Commanders got to play the Cowboys, Commanders got to play the Giants, right? Start to beat this team, so that, you don't have to worry about them later on. Not that you will, but not that you have to worry about them later on. You don't want to – the team got beat down. They got blown out. Step on their throats. I would say the same thing if I was talking about the Seattle Seahawks, right? Team just got blown out. Step on their throats. Make them earn it. Make them come to your level. Don't go to their level. That's what the Cowboys did to Arizona. They went down to their level. Let's see if – they can establish a run, but if guys fumble the football, it's not going to matter, right? If Antonio Gibson's putting the ball, if Brian Robinson's putting the ball on the field, and Antonio Gibson, right? If they're putting the balls on the ground, guess what?
Gibson's the one with the fumbling power. I wouldn't say Brian Robinson has had that issue yet, but
Well, the thing
Let's see
is,
what
get rid of
happens.
Gibson. I know Gibson is a dynamic player because he can catch and he can run. But if he's costing you football games, which clearly, I mean, Sam Howell costs you football games, and right now he's your starter. There's nobody. I mean, you could put in Jacoby Brissett, and maybe if Sam Howell has a bad game, we'll see Jacoby Brissett. It really depends on what's going on. Because Jacoby Brissett, to me, the reason why you want to put him in a game like this, if you decide to, if the game gets out of hand, is to kind of stabilize the offense. Okay, I've seen a lot of defenses. Let me get my sea legs under. Remember, it was Sam Howell won this job by a slight margin. You know, he wasn't really great or bad. Jacoby Brissett was having a decent camp, but they decided to give it to the young guy. This could be the game that puts, you know, Sam Howell on the bench if he doesn't come out and perform well. Eagles can do that to you, and they take quarterbacks out. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Bills had 9 sacks last week. You don't think the Eagles defense is licking their chops, saying, "Man, we can get some on this guy. We can cause some turnovers, create some havoc." That's what's going to happen in this game.
But I think that's what I'm saying. You got to drop. You got to get Sam Howell's confidence back. After a young quarterback like that, after a performance like he had on Sunday, his confidence is probably a little bit shaken. You got to come out there, try to get him some easy, I guess, easy throws. Something like either get the ball in his playmaker's hands, but like make it like easy throws, things where he pretty much can't miss, things where he's not really susceptible to the big mistakes, man. Because you got to get, like I said, you got to give him some confidence to go out there and make the big throws when you're gonna need him to make those big throws. And like I said, the running game is just paramount right now, and it's because like a bookend said, man, it'll get ugly fast against the Eagles if you can't really establish your run, because that's kind of the only slight weakness. Once again, like I said, that's pretty much the only real slight weakness that this defense has is they do allow you to run the football. They can give up some big plays in the run game, man, and you got to go out there and take advantage of that. Right this week, you can't go out there and just be dropping Sam Howell back all willy nilly, expecting him to just be the savior in this game, and think that he's going to win this game with his arm. That's not going to happen. You're going to have to ride the legs of Brian Robinson, Antonio Gibson, and anybody else running the rock for the Washington Commanders. It's going to have to come down to that, because otherwise you're not going to have a chance in this one.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see. I mean, these are division games, so mostly anything can happen. Um, but to help your quarterback out when he's struggling. See, the thing is, when you have a franchise guy, you don't care what the score is because you believe your guy's going to bring you back on any circumstances, right? When you have guys that you're trying to become the franchise guy, you need to help them out. I always look at the experiment with Dak Prescott, right? When he first came in, they had Ezekiel Elliott. They drafted him number one that draft. And what they did was they turned around, they had a big offensive line, and they made the game easier by giving it to their bell cow. Well, do that for your quarterback here. Make him not have to think, not have to be under siege, right? Establish the run game. Because when you do that, you're going to cause the team to let up. Easier said than done, obviously. I mean, you also have to take the lead. You can't kick field goals against these teams. That's another thing that I'll say for the Commanders and Giants. You want to beat these teams, field goals aren't going to matter. Don't get into the red zone and kick a field goal, because that's not going to help you. Because the Eagles can go down in a heartbeat and score a touchdown, and now you're down 7-0. And then you'll get the ball, go down field, kick another field goal. Oh, we're down by 1. Next thing you know, you're down by 7 again because they went down and scored. So kick field goals, I guess, if you have to, if you don't want to lose points, but you need to score touchdowns. That's what it's going to come down to.
And another thing is, honestly, Jalen Hurts is not off to the greatest start of this season, man. He's been making some head scratching mistakes, man. Just try to force a couple more of those as well, and try to let that. I mean, defensively, Chase Young starting to get legs back underneath them a little bit on that Washington defense. He's out there making plays again. Obviously, it didn't look like that too much on Sunday with the way that game went down. But at the end of the day, he has been out there making a little bit of an impact, a little bit of difference. His presence is being felt. So you gotta let Jalen Hurts feel a little bit of that as well, because he has been making some uncharacteristic mistakes, man. So these first couple of games of this season, man, he's had a couple of bad picks, man. A couple of weird like what are you doing, Jalen Hurts kind of picks. Like that's not the guy that was out there flinging the football a year ago. So you got to go out there and try to force some of those too, because you need every I mean, anything that you can help to get the edge against the Philadelphia Eagles, you need it. Trust me. As a New York Giant fan, we know that you need every advantage you can get against this Philadelphia Eagle football team, and you can't take anything for granted, and you can't leave it. You got to take advantage and capitalize on the mistakes that they make. You can't like that's the thing with Tampa Bay, man. Jalen Hurts had those couple interceptions, but it didn't. Like Adam said, you said earlier, it didn't really end up hurting the team. Tampa Bay wasn't able to capitalize on them, weren't able to do anything about the errors that were made. So that's another thing you got to do. Jalen Hurts has been making a couple errors this season. If that happens in this game, you got to capitalize on them. You got to take advantage of that. And like I said, and just run the damn football. Please don't get out there and try to get into a shootout with the Philadelphia Eagles because you are not going to sustain that way against this team. It's just not going to work. Says
Yeah.
Washington, Big Simple. What's going on, Big Simple, man? By the way, I don't think I even spoke to you. I'm sorry about that, bro. But Washington got the defense to do it all up to them. Washington has the defense to do it, but it's all up to them to execute. I agree. They have a talented enough defense. They have to execute, and they got to take advantage. Like I said, take advantage of whatever the Eagles can possibly give them. I'm sorry, Adam. What you gonna say?
No, I'm just saying like it's a tall order that not saying it can't be done if the Commanders defense shows up. I mean, because last week they didn't really show up. 37 points doesn't really do much, but four turnovers also doesn't help as well. If you can turn the ball over, you got to capitalize. It's about this league's about scoring touchdowns. We like the field goal kicker; they're cool, kicking 61-yard field goals and all that shit. That's cool. But at the end of the day, you want to beat big teams, you got to score touchdowns. That's how these big teams win. They don't just they use their field goal kicker as like dotting the I or adding a little extra spice to the recipe. They don't use these kickers and rely on like the Giants do. The Giants rely on, hey, if we get into field goal range, we're going to kick a 50-yard field goal because that's what our kicker can do. But that's what we rely on. No, these other teams, they have Jake Elliott for when they get in these close games that they can boom a 60-yarder if they need to. But they're trying not to need that. They're trying to score touchdowns. That's what they do. And if you don't score touchdowns and you get in the red zone and kick a field goal like the Giants did against the 49ers, you're going to lose a game because eventually they're going to break that dam and they're going to score. That's what they do. These teams do that. The Eagles have put up 20 points in each of their 20 plus points in each of their 3 games that they've played. They're going to score. That's what they do. You got to be able to match their scores.
Big Simple said Washington held the Bills to 16 points in the midway of the third quarter, and then their offense just couldn't sustain drives. That's why all the defense got tired out. We can't have the same results. Definitely agree,
Yeah,
man. I mean, like you said,
doesn't
those
help.
turnovers. Well, it was 5 turnovers actually because they had 4 interceptions and the fumble. So
Doesn't help. It doesn't help.
that's definitely they got to clean. They got to clean up. You can't go out there against the Eagles turning the ball over like that. Like I said, that's why you got to get Sam Howell. You got to get his confidence back with some easy throws maybe early in this game, and definitely get the run game established. That's the only way it's going to work. Because Sam Howell, that's the kind of game that can shake a young quarterback's confidence. And then this Eagle defense to follow that up, to have to go against this Philadelphia Eagle defense the following week, that's a tall task, man. That's a tall order, man. So speaking of that, Adam, who you got in this one, man?
I got Philadelphia in this game, but I wanted to mention something real quick. In order to keep up with the good teams don't have to play their best to beat you. You have to play your best to beat them. So if the Eagles turn the ball over, go cash in on it. If the Eagles give you the rock, go cash in on it because you're already at a disadvantage because they're that good. They're that good. When a team is that good, you have to play perfection. They don't need to. That's what good teams force you to do. They make you have to play their game, not the other way around. And if you're going to be anything that the Washington Commanders be and have a chance, you can't turn the ball over 5 times, and you can't let your defense just get, gassed like that. Run the football. But I don't think they're going to win. I think Philadelphia has got the W in this game. I just think Philadelphia is a better team right now, and I think Commanders will bounce back. They won't be shut out of the game, but I don't think they're going to win. I think they'll lose, 27-20 or something like that. It's not going to be close, but it'll be close. It'll be closer than it really is. You know what I mean?
Well, I do agree. I agree with you with the result, but I think this is going to be a shockingly close game. I think this game is going to be surprisingly close, like a game-winning field goal type of game. Honestly, I do. I don't know. These two teams have a way of hooking up, and they make it interesting every time. Washington is kind of always there to compete when they play against the Philadelphia Eagles, and I mean, like you said, division game, division rivalry. I don't know what it is about this matchup, but Washington always seems to kind of have a way of really hanging in there with the Philadelphia Eagles for one reason or another. And I think this will be another one of those type of games. But I think they come up a little bit short, and I do think they end up. I think the Eagles end up finding a way to get this W at home in front of their home fans once again, and a big division win for them. Which I believe this is what the Eagles' first divisional matchup of the season. Yeah, both of these teams' first division game of the season. So this is a big game. I think early in the part of the season for the Eagles, I think they do get the job done because they are, like you said, they're just that damn good, man. Unfortunately, and I wish they would start sucking sometime soon because I'm getting tired of them being good and their fans talking shit to me every day. It's really getting annoying. Really getting tired of it. I really want to stop living my life like that, but it is what it is. Till my Giants get good again, I just got to take it. It is what it is. But speaking of which, September's pretty much in the books now, man. Headed to October. This season is cruising by already, man. Just cruising by, cruising along, man. October, man. Who do you expect? What do you expect to see from this division, man? October. Obviously, you expected this to be Eagles, Cowboys battling out. But who do you think? Which one of those two do you expect to like really, really
I think
assert
the
themselves?
I think the Eagles are going to start to show their dominance again going forward in October. They're going to kind of establish 8-9, 8-1, something like that, something out the gate. I think the Cowboys will come in second. They'll have a couple of losses there just because that's what they do. And then the Giants and the Commanders will take up the rear. I mean, the Commanders right now are hitting a tough part of their schedule, and they, I think that they're on the same track as the Giants in terms of talent. And those games will probably decide what team has a chance at the wild card and what team will be going to play home early. I'm just saying. I don't know. I don't think three teams are going from the NFC East this year. I just don't. I think the entire NFC has at least two teams each fighting for a playoff spot, some even three. So I think it's going to come down to one of those teams maybe eliminating each other from the playoff race, and it'll matter like that. It'll be what better team wins because I don't want to see a tie this year. I don't want to see another tie. Go out there and win. And again, they're all playing pretty much the same teams. I just think that the Commanders right now are going to struggle. If they can square up in this game, they're going to be two. They're probably going to be 2-2 in this game, right? If they're 2-2, they're still in a good spot going forward, right? Even if they lose, it's a team like the Giants who, if they lose to Seattle, then I don't. If they lose to Seattle, I don't see them winning a game till probably playing the Commanders and then definitely beating the Jets. I think they'll definitely beat the Jets, but the Commanders that'll be your respite. After you get bludgeoned by Seattle, the Bills, and Miami, you'll have your game where you'll finally play a team where you know that you have a legitimate chance to win. And who knows? Maybe the injuries will happen, and maybe that'll be the equalizer. But I feel like the Giants, these back end teams, this is where you establish yourself. These next 4 or 5, there's 5 games in October. There's like 5 games in October for the Giants. Everybody else, there's still a game in September this weekend, right? 5 games in October. You need to go at least 2 and 3 in those 5 for the Giants. For everybody else, I think they're going to establish themselves, and we're going to start to see the division take shape.
We'll see what happens, man. Clearly the Eagles, Cowboys are definitely the cream of the crop. They've proven that through these first few weeks of the season that they're definitely the two. And the Washington and Giants have proven probably not to be really on their level right now. And so I think it's clear that the division is going to come down to the Cowboys and the Eagles, and barring something really, really bizarre going to happen in the rest of this season. So between the Washington and the Giants, man, like, because you said you don't see 3 teams this year coming out the NFC, so I'm still not so convinced about that because I'm still not really, really I'm still not sure how I feel about the NFC South, even though it's been some surprise performances thus far with Atlanta, Tampa Bay
Well, I mean, you
early
got
on
you
in
got
this
San
season.
Francisco and Seattle probably going to make it, right? You got
Well, yeah, they both made it a year ago,
you probably
and the
you
NFC
probably
North
have Green
is
Bay and Detroit fighting for another two spots, right? We got the Eagles and
yeah.
Cowboys. That's already six. So that means there's one other team that has to make it. We haven't even said the new winner of the South yet. So
But that's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. I don't really. I mean, yeah, I get what you're saying because last season, I'm trying to think. Last season, you had the two from the north. I mean, two from the south, one from the north, one from the two from the west, one from the north, one from the south, and then three from the east.
right this
So,
year, I think there's 8 teams or 6 teams at least in three of the divisions, and then at least one team from the South coming out. So now you have to kind of finagle your way around getting past some of these other teams like Seattle. I mean, the Rams, they could kick themselves in the high gear. They're the same record as the Giants. Who knows if they win a couple games and fight? It's going to like this is why I'm saying like these games for the Giants and all this stuff. When you play out of your division conference games like Seattle, don't overlook Seattle. Okay, they're arguably the fourth best team.
the Giants can't overlook anybody.
Right, they're
So if they
arguably
catch up, that's not the
they could be
case.
arguably the fourth or fifth best team in the conference, right? So they're at least top six right now. So and I can't I can't say anything because they have a better record. You are what your record is says you are. They're 2-1. They've handled their business against all the opponents. Their division loss to the Rams was, I think, more of a taking the Rams lightly than anything else. I think they didn't realize, they thought they were going to kind of roast
Well,
the Rams.
I
Rams.
found out after the fact that they notoriously play poorly against the Rams, especially at home too.
Oh,
Against in
really?
Seattle, they play poorly notoriously against the Rams for some reason.
Oh,
Yeah.
so maybe it's just one of those things. They see a Rams uniform and they don't do well, just like we see a Cowboys or Eagle uniform, we don't do well. So, hey, you know what? Like I said, Seattle knows how to play us. They played us last year. These are the games you need to kind of win going forward. These 50-50 games, right? These are the ones that'll make or break your playoffs. This is why I'm saying, like, Giants loses this game, good night the lights. It's going to be a tough road ahead. You lose this game,
Oh, it definitely will be.
you're going to be 1-3 with a team like that's possibly Detroit being 2-2, Green Bay being 2-2. They can win. You got New Orleans who probably might be 2-2 if they can't get over the hump with Jameis Winston. Right? You have Atlanta that might be 2-2. You got to win this game to get back in that race. Otherwise, you're going to be chasing the entire season, and that is not going to be good for the Giants.
I do somehow agree with you but I think after the smoke clears, we're still only going to have one team out the South, and that's going to be whoever wins that division. I believe when it's all said and done, I think that division is pretty bad. I think they're kind of just playing a little bit above their heads right now in this first few weeks of the season. As far as like I said,
Well, let's
teams
say
like Atlanta. I'm just saying, like I say, like teams like Atlanta, teams like Tampa Bay. I'm not sure what they really are. If they really are what they look like, what they've been kind of looking like these first couple of weeks. I think as the season progresses, you might start seeing these teams kind of start to fade
so.
back a little bit. But the NFC North that's what's interesting because like you said, we only had one team from the North a season ago. That was Minnesota Vikings. This season you got a couple teams playing really well. Detroit, Green Bay. They actually play head to head on Thursday night. This week to get the week started off, Detroit and Green Bay. It's going to be a big time matchup up there in the NFC North right now. The two teams probably playing the best football out of that division right now, and they are both going to be competing big time. One of them's going to win. One of them most likely is going to win the division, obviously, and then the other one will be competing hard for a wild card. So that's kind of the X factor right there, more so to me. Is that division and those couple of teams in that division right there? Because I think the NFC South is what everybody believed it to be. I think right now it's like just looking a little bit,
Well,
you know,
all I'm saying is like
right now. But I don't expect much more from that division.
if
Other
you
than
think
the
the
division.
Giants win 8 or 9 games, which I have them projected at 8 or 9 wins, right? If you're still on that track, they have to win a couple of these games to stay in line with that 8 or 9 win victory as games get harder down the stretch, right? So it's not out of the realm of possibility. Like I think New Orleans is going to end up with like 9 wins. I wouldn't be surprised if Tampa Bay somehow. The NFC is not great. They end up with 8 or 9 wins, and that could be the difference. That could be the difference in the game. And now you have two teams out of the South because, again, they beat the Giants end up with 7 wins because Daniel Jones gets hurt or somebody gets knocked out of a game and they lose on a fluky matter, right? So for me, like, I'd rather not make the playoffs than back into the playoffs. I'd rather just be like, all right, I'm an all or nothing kind of guy. If you're going to go in there and win. I don't want you to go in there and be like, if the Giants are still giving up 30 points a game and we win because the rest of the teams stink and we end up playing the Cowboys in the first round or something like that, or 49ers in the first round, I'm like, all right, well, what was good at getting there, right? So we'll see. I mean, we'll really find out on Monday night what team we have. We either will be in it to win it and be contending for at least a wild card, or we're going to be good nighting the lights because the Seattle Seahawks will beat us. I mean, I don't want to get into the nitty gritty. We'll probably get into that on Premium Takes a little bit more when we dive in, but just know it's going to be it's going to be a race to the end for teams that aren't the top 2 teams in the division.
Absolutely agree with that. And with that being said, man, everybody, man, it's been another great edition of the Real Deal NFC's Roundup. Thank everybody in the chat, man. Bookend tackles, big simple. No Mets, no Nets, no Jets. Always in here holding it down. My guy, NFL Reality Check, also known as my guy AK. Deception stopped in. My boy Philly B. Most definitely, man. A couple of my homies stopped in earlier, man. William Carver, a good friend of mine. My boy Speed Dollars, man. Most definitely appreciate it, man. He got a hip hop channel, y'all. Speed Dollars, y'all check it out, man. Brother be doing some nice, dope hip hop, doing this music thing. So most definitely appreciate you guys stopping in. And we'll definitely be back next Wednesday with another edition of the Real Deal NFC's Roundup. But before then, you can catch myself, Adam Costas, Zion's Zenith Friday night Premium Takes podcast. We'll be talking about that Detroit Lions, Green Bay Packers matchup from Thursday night. We'll be talking about that Dame Lillard trade today. The big Dame Lillard trade earlier today, man, headed to the Milwaukee Bucks to play with the Greek Freak. You know what I mean? And we'll be breaking down week 4 action, man. So definitely tune in Friday night to the Premium Takes podcast with myself, Adam Costas, and Zion Zenith, man. But I want to thank y'all all once again, and we'll be back me and Adam will be back next Wednesday with yet another edition of the Real Deal NFC East Roundup. Pace. I'd like to thank you all for listening. If you was feeling this, please take time to subscribe and smack them likes. Feel free to drop a comment. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to ring that bell so you know when I'm dropping new content. It's your boy, MacDaGiantsFan. You can find me on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook at MacDaGiantsFan. That's MacDa Giants Fan.